Well, hello, everybody. It is Tuesday night, and you know what that means. It is time for the Brofessionals, the coolest show around, the hippest, the coolest. With all six of us combined, we are rocking, I think if you add it up, over 200 years of comic book experience right here, one channel, rotating every week, channel to channel. My God, the value you're getting. And it's all because we love you guys and we love hanging out with you. And for some, let's say hi. We've got first out of the gate, Ellie Munoz. Hello. Randy Howell, HR. Marcus is in the house. People are excited to talk about Joe Kubert, Citizen Ronan, Barbara Paulson. Hello. Dan Genovese. Heat Miser, 160 years is just art. Well, that's true. I mean, it's like 160, and then all of us maybe get it to like 215. No, we've got tons of experience, and we are going to kick the show off without further ado. We're going to bring in the brawny one himself, the one that's gotten everybody to eat just steak and nothing else. What's for breakfast? Steak. What's for lunch? Steak. Dinner? Steak. Rinse and repeat 7 days a week.
And
that's Graham Nolen.
Bacon.
And bacon. You wrap the bacon around your steak.
That's right. If it's lean enough, you wrap that bacon around and get some good fat in there for you.
That's right. So I had my steak for lunch. So
nice.
Yeah, and I brought you in first because you do have to depart at 8 o'clock. So figure once everybody's in, we'll start with you. All right, next up, the guy that actually was here, unbelievable, about 15 minutes early. Nobody ever imagines this guy to show up early, but he did. It's Mr. Black and White, Art Thibert.
It's this guy, yeah, early. That's my name, my new name, Early Curly. Yeah.
Early Art.
Early Art. Yeah. So how you guys doing, man? It's good to be here.
Doing good. Is that an Inco hat, by the way?
This is an Inco hat, yes.
I knew it. I don't think I've ever seen it before.
That's good ink, brother. Yeah. Nice. So we're going to be talking about who? This Joe Kubert guy?
Yeah, this Joe Kubert guy.
He drew a comic back a long time ago. Well, you
drew a few funny books.
Yeah.
Before our time.
So. That's right. Before, during, all over the place. And then, of course, it's our very own from south of the border, Lopez, Aaron Second Chance Lopresti in the house.
Right. Sometimes I'm a man called Lopez. Sometimes I'm just Second Chance Lopresti. I am also representing my gear. Wraith of God.
I saw that.
Yeah. I think it's important to note that, and I don't know. I know Art's getting older, so his memory's probably not that good. But I thought that Joe Kubert interned for Art.
Yeah, back
in the day.
Well, Joe started off, erasing pages and stuff when he was a teenager, and I think that was for Art. So
because
he erased a page. Yeah, that I didn't want him to erase, and I fired him.
He drew on butcher paper.
Butcher paper.
I got a roll of butcher paper.
That's true. That's what Joe used to draw on.
Oh my God.
I got a big roll of that stuff over here. My mom had it for when she'd watch the kids. He'd roll out these big sheets of butcher paper and let them draw all over it. And
yeah, here they have barbecue like everywhere in Texas, and so all they do is they just rip it off, throw a bunch of brisket on there, and it's like, here you go.
Yeah, brisket for the win. Oh,
so good.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
All right, last but not least, until Fraga shows up, is the teen sensation, and I believe he's representing one of us tonight with his attire.
I am, but I think I might have got someone else's shirt because it came with this L, and my name doesn't start with an L. So what could that be? Well, let's guess the person whose shirt it is.
Oh,
God! Oh, what's the L for though?
It's Lopresti.
Oh, Lopresti Lopez.
Lopez. That's right. L is for Lopez.
Oh,
You got
I
it.
thought it
Yeah,
meant
it's-
something else. There you go, Billy. You effing Lopez. I look like a comic nerd, don't I?
Yeah. Got to use a little tape to hold your glasses
Size
together.
sticker right there to hold you. Yeah, that's great.
There, oh, there it is.
There it is.
Did you guys see that new? I gotta put my braces in.
Oh my God, he's putting a flosser in.
Did you guys see that?
Oh,
My retainer.
Oh,
there
Did
it
you
is.
see
wait a
that?
minute. Wait a minute. This
Fantastic Four comic
this-
book.
is this the guy we're going to trust to save us from the zombie apocalypse? I'm not sure.
That I could save you from, but comic book lore, I don't know.
Well, you never know. Look at this. We got it from Fritz Schnitzel. How do you rank Joe Kubert as far a artist writer double threats? Top 3, number 1. That's a great question. I mean, he did always like to do his own stuff, except, well, no, because I mean, Sergeant Rock was Kanigher, and damn it, why am I blanking? Who wrote Hawkman? Was that?
Which one?
Gardner Fox, right?
Yeah, Gardner Fox. Yeah,
but-
Gardner Fox. So
Who
Kubert
wrote
did-
that? Was it Showcase or was it Hawkman? Which one was Kubert? Because wasn't Hawkman in Showcase?
no,
first
Brave and the
Kubert-
Bold.
Brave and the Bold. Okay,
27.
that's it. Yeah.
Wait, did you say 27?
I'm pretty sure. I could be
I
wrong.
thought it was in the 30s. The first one.
Well, I'm not betting
Well,
my
that's
life
the
on it. I'm not a
Silver Age
DC
one.
guy.
The first one appeared in Flash Comics.
Right.
Yeah.
Number 1.
Yeah.
Flash number 1 was the very first appearance of Hawkman, but the Silver Age appearance we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The good
But Joe
one, the
didn't
good
start.
stuff.
Joe didn't start Hawkman in the Flash number 1. I can't remember what issue he started, but he was like 19 when he did. So
Wow.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because he worked in the Golden Age, didn't he?
Yeah. He
Oh,
was
yeah.
13 years old when he started.
Yeah.
He was 13. Is that what you
Yeah.
said?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's almost
They,
like
they
David
shipped him
Williams
off to
started-
Korea to kill a couple of Chi-Coms.
There it is. One slick dude says Brave and the Bold 34. Okay, so I was off a few issues.
There you go. Yeah.
Billy's
That's what
on
I'm saying.
fire already.
Those are expensive books too.
Giant
Those are some I'd like to own, but
A little too
they're
expensive.
good.
You
But
know
yeah,
when
they ain't cheap.
when Alessi went under,
Mhm.
and you hooked me up with that guy that needed the comic book collection valued. Do you remember that? And so I went over to we went to this place. This lawyer they had confiscated all of Alessi's belongings, including this giant collection he had. And so I was in there looking through it with Josh, and we were trying to pull out all the key issues and everything like that to kind of get an idea of what the overall value and the condition of the collection was. And it was pretty amazing that like he'd had this incredible run of Brave and the Bold, except all the key issues were missing. Like 30, was it 31 or 34? No, I just kept forgetting.
34.
34.
34.
He had like 33, 35, and 34 was missing. You'd go through all these collections and, oh yeah, that's missing. Oh, gee, I wonder what happened to that issue, So I got to believe that he might have gone in and pulled a few keys out of there before he turned it over to the
You think?
attorneys. Yeah.
Yeah, he might have. He might have. I know John Byrne owns a page of Hawkman from one of the issues of Brave and the Bold. I
that'd be
can't
cool.
remember which one it is though.
Well, yeah.
I mean, if I saw it, I would. And here's Fraga Boom.
There he
There he
is.
is.
Rolling in.
Dr. Delinquent.
No way.
How are you, gentlemen?
Good.
Doing good.
What t-shirt do you have on today?
It says culture.
Culture,
Nice.
culture.
It's like a hippie shirt.
It
Yeah, it
is.
looks like a reefer addict shirt.
Wait a second.
Reaper
Or that's
Madness.
Woodstock,
I've been called
baby.
worse. I've been called worse.
You're like the culture club of the chat here.
Hey, I'll come
Karma
before you.
Chameleon.
Hey man, Boy George is my friend and follows me on Twitter.
He's
Is he?
gay. He's
I
a
thought Boy
faggot.
George was dead.
Oh, George, Boy George is alive.
God, good Lord.
Martin.
No, didn't Boy George like OD or something?
I love the music. Yeah, he's a great guy. I just thought I'd say because I don't know.
No, seriously, is Boy George still alive?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Follow
Yeah.
me.
Here's a DJ.
Sorry, George. Sorry.
See,
It's
that
George Michael that's not. He's
I
gone.
knew you You throw
It was
enough
one of the
gay Georges.
Georges.
He died on
out there, one of them
Christmas,
is
That's
right?
the other
gay.
guy got caught jacking off in the bathroom.
It happened like that. What are we talking about tonight?
We're talking about
Joe Kubert, baby.
Somebody named George.
God, you had to do your homework, Dan.
Hey, Andy, I know and I knew, but this is
I
called
know.
Fresh.
I know. And we're going to move on to Mr. Nolen right now, talking about Joe.
It's a good thing I lift weights because I'm going to need it for this.
Uh-oh.
All right, let's see if I can. I
Oh,
want to get you a full. Oh, I don't have. Okay.
look at that.
This to me is the
We don't need to see you, Andy. There you go.
this is the ultimate Kubert. This is Kubert doing his own thing at the peak of his powers. He's not working for somebody else. This was originally published by Epic Comics. Marvel's Epic is a creator-owned project.
Mm-hmm.
And I can just open up to a few pages in here, and you can see the freaking details.
Great stuff.
I still
Holy
have to get
smokes.
that. I actually don't have that one.
You have got to get this. I've got the Tarzan ones too, but God, this
Yeah.
one,
How many issues are represented in there? Do you know, Graham?
all of them.
Yeah, it's
That's
what
like
was
a-
it? 4
4 or
issues?
5?
Like that whole
Yeah,
tour
it's 4 or
miniseries
5.
in there?
Yeah, it's
Holy
like
Yeah, it's
4
the
or
one he
5.
did. He was working on that when I was going to the school, so he would bring pages in from it.
Really?
So I think it's like 5. I think it's 4. It's at least 4, maybe 5, maybe 6.
Look at that.
So
shit.
that was good stuff, man.
And he was doing that shit oversized because that's bigger than 11 by 17.
Oh yeah, this is one of
Yeah,
the
'cause-
big ass books.
Yeah, it was printed
Yeah.
at 8. Wasn't it 8.5 by 11? It was like
Yeah.
magazine size.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Look at that face.
Look at that.
Awesome stuff, man.
This stuff is just friggin'
Just look at that long shot on the left-hand side. That
all
is
the
just
negative space. But then
Look at
all
that
the
Yeah.
boob
black
shot on
around
the
it.
left-hand side.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. He got to draw boobs.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh, it even reprints
the
it
old
some-
stuff.
Oh,
Forgot about that. It's like old stuff from the 50s too. Old.
yeah,
toys.
because he tried to do it as a daily strip.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
when did
that's
he-
cool.
When did he first do tour?
1950.
1950, 51 or maybe 3.
What was it in? Do you know who he did it for?
It was his own company, I thought, wasn't it? St. John's Publishing, and it was
Yeah.
one of the first 3D books.
It was the one he was in with Mo Howard's son-in-law.
Now, there's a strange connection.
Yeah, he was a cartoon. Norman.
Norman Lear? No,
Rockwell.
no, Norman Maurer.
Bates.
Maurer. That's it. Norman
Maurer.
Yep. Norman Maurer was married to Mo Howard's daughter. Joe and his wife went to the wedding. And the Stooges were there. All the Stooges were there.
I think back then, because of how long ago it was, that was a cross-country drive too. If I remember him telling the story
Probably.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because he'd been out in California.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Joe would say, now, I take it, I believe it from Joe, but he said that it was him and Norman that did the first 3D comics.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they developed that the plastic coating and raising up the artwork with it.
The green and the red, is that what
Yeah.
it was?
Mhm. Yeah, and they just overprint it in 2 different colors, that blue and is it like a magenta?
Yeah.
Yeah,
uh,
something
And
like
they
that.
kind of like overlap slightly, and then when you put that on, the eye balances it out, puts it together as a 3D.
Wasn't it Ray Zone that perfected it though? Like those guys made everything kind of unilaterally Ray's, but Ray Zone was the guy who cut out elements to give some things provenance over the depth,
Could
Probably.
be.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah, if you get, so
Ray
DC
Zone-
in the 70s reprinted all that original tour stuff. The first issue was brand new. And then 2, 3, 4, and I think 5 were all reprints of their original tour stuff from the 50s, but not 3D.
Oh.
And then he also did tour for Sojourn.
Yeah.
He did that magazine, that Sojourn magazine, and he put tour in that too. That was a
Right.
creator-owned thing that he had
Yeah, I
published.
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you do Sojourn? Aaron Lopresti?
It's not. Yeah, there was a sojourn for cross.
I know. I'm just trying to derail the conversation.
Yeah, I know, but it was different.
Billy's trying to look like he knows about comics.
Yeah, he goes sojourn. I've heard that word before. Wasn't that?
I'm going to throw that word out.
He's throwing that damn wrench at you.
Here we go off on a tangent, but wasn't Sojourn? Wasn't that a fanzine?
No, no. I get it couldn't be classified. I mean, it as a Sojourn or as a fan magazine because Joe published it.
Oh, he published it
sold
himself. Okay.
Yeah, and there's
Wow.
Joe was in it. Dan Spiegel was in it, and some students were in it.
That sounds
That's what I thought. Wasn't it from the school?
Sounds like
Yeah, I think so.
that sounds like a professional publishing a fanzine. So it's a prozine.
That's a prozine.
Prozine.
No, I think that's actually a coined phrase, prozine.
It
Not
sounds
to
like
be
a
confused with
drug.
Prozac.
I know it does. I got to take 2 tablets of prozine, and then I'll be in a minute.
Yeah, I think Wally Wood did one called Wits End, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the same.
Wally
Yeah,
did
Wally
Wits
did
End.
Wits End, yeah.
Yeah.
So was Joe Kubert's first work self-published, or did he work for somebody else before?
He worked with Harry Chesler's house.
Harry
Mhm.
Chesler.
Yeah.
Look at these names we're going on
His
here.
name is Harry Ballstein.
Chesler was one of those packagers like Eisner Iger. You know, he would
Yeah.
package comics for various publishers and stuff. That was pretty common back in the golden age.
What do
Don't
you
you
mean?
people know
is
the
it-
history of your business?
No,
I do.
yeah.
I thought he
Is it
worked-
kind of like a distributor? Is that what a packager is?
Well, yeah, that's where the whole Golden Age studio system was, where you just have, Will Eisner would have his studio, like
They were more
Brent
like
said,
producers.
Chesler,
They were more
and
like
they would
producers.
just do all the books, and package them up to ship them out, or
Not-
And then
Not-
those guys set up the distribution, and
They didn't do
all that.
No, the
distribution.
Chesler would do that. Those guys
Oh.
would, or
Yeah.
the publishers that would be hiring them, they would handle the distribution.
So there still was a publisher involved.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
Oh, yeah.
Quality Comics might use
Right.
Chesler's crew to do a bunch of different
Like continuity. Like
Right. Yeah, I
continuity
mean,
or
I-
Iger Eisner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Eisner's
Simon-
studio was
Simon
that they did
Kirby.
all those quality books, all the quality comics. So they would go.
And the guy Harry Chesler worked for Phil McCracken. Actually, he's
I
one
know
of
he
the
did.
guys-
No,
Really?
he worked with Butt McCracken. You're thinking?
Yeah. And
Sorry,
and
but
that one
it's
girl, Anita Weiner.
okay.
Anita Weiner. She was the secretary, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
and
there
they were
was
all under
Ice
that
Cream.
great Italian immigrant Dick Gazzini. If you guys
And then
remember him.
there's IP Freely.
Now that one I've never heard, Billy, so that's a good one.
He just made it up.
Since we're going off on a tangent, did you guys ever hear the
never
prank?
happened. Never happened.
And I know,
It never
but it was in San Francisco, and it was about an airplane accident or something, and somebody called in and was making up all these fake, Asian names, whatever.
Yeah,
I can't remember any of the names. Do you remember
Yeah, I
any,
don't
Billy?
I'll find it.
When the
It'll
news
take 2
reporter
seconds.
went on and read those names.
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
was
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that. Yes.
Oh god, that was so.
Hang on,
bad.
I got
It's
it.
like my go-to was like way too young or we too young.
Yeah.
The pilot
Well,
was-
that's like, that's the joke of going to a Chinese restaurant and ordering "Come of Some Young Boy."
Oh,
No, it was.
What?
Oh, it's cream of some young guy, dude. What the heck?
I hear you.
I've never heard that.
Some young
Cream of
guy.
some
I
young
think
guy.
the pilot
Dude,
was
it's
like.
Yeah, you want to share my screen? I got it here.
Yeah.
So you ready?
That's some-
Ting Wong.
These are the names of the
Too
pilots from board
low.
Flight 214.
We
When it
too
crashed,
low.
we are working to determine exactly
Holy
what
fook.
them played during the landing on Saturday.
Involved in the Asiana Airlines crash. These names were not accurate despite an NTSB official.
Like me too low.
We have new information now also on the plane crash.
Ding
The video
dong.
just showing the names of the 4 pilots who were on board the flight. They are Captain Sum Ting Wong, Wee
That's
Tu
horrible.
Lo, Ho Lee Fook, and Bang Ding Out. The NTSB has confirmed these are the names of the pilots on board Flight 214 when it crashed. We are working to determine
Wait a minute.
Saturday.
Yeah, man. How do you not get through that first name and then just go, wait a second?
It's like that Saturday Night Live skit that had De Niro reading the terrorist names. Do you remember that one?
No.
Vaguely.
My God. He's reading all these Arab terrorist names, and it was just like that. You know, it's like Farouk my balls, and, you know, and he's reading all this shit. And the more he goes on, the funnier it gets.
Oh my God. That's hilarious. All right, Art Thibert, let's get back on track. Joe Kubert, brother.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't think we've ever come like derailed this early on. Like we haven't even got around yet. Yeah.
We got to one person.
Yeah.
Well, that person was We Too Low.
We too low.
Yeah, we too. No, something wrong.
Something
wrong. Sorry.
Oh my gosh.
All right,
bros.
Come on, Andy, get control of your show for God's sake.
Yeah, come on.
No, it's free flowing, baby.
It's free flowing.
It's improv, man.
It's improv, man. You just go with it. It's like jazz. Just go with it.
Well, you guys are gonna have to go with it because the thing is, I'm not a big comic historian. I do like Joe Kubert. I think he's a brilliant talent, and I probably have a bazillion of his books, but it would have taken me all day to go through them to find out. But there isn't one particular book that I ever like. I could go and like, oh, this is my favorite. To me, it's all kind of like he's just brilliant. Everything he did was great. But I do have some of my favorites, and it would be all of his war stuff, like Sergeant Rock, Ghost Tank, Unknown Soldier. All those titles were fantastic, and I do have one that I would like to share. This thing is fucking phenomenal. I hope this is it here. It should be. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. So, this thing is absolutely amazing. This is Weird War Tales.
Yeah, Weird War. Yeah.
Fuck, man, this is. Yeah, it makes me want to cuss. The only way I can say
it makes me want to cuss.
It's like fuck yeah, this is like 81 too.
Yeah, what year was that? Did you see it? It was 81. Okay.
Yeah. It says 100. So
100.
It says it doesn't have a year. It just says June.
Yeah, it does. It's on the indicia.
Yeah, the indicia down below.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
1981.
Oh yeah,
issue 100.
He must have loved doing this cover.
Yeah.
Look at that thing.
What's that shit coming out of his mouth?
It's number 106, dude.
That's a splash page. Did he draw most? Did he? See, I only knew. I obviously Sergeant Rock, and when it came to the other war books, Unknown Soldier and Weird War and all that, I thought he only did covers. I didn't think he did a lot of interiors for those books.
Oh yeah,
he did a whole bunch of the early Unknown Soldiers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And just the I have some other stuff I'll share later, but just the reference on all like the tanks and the weaponry and all that is absolutely fantastic. The darks and lights are absolutely amazing. His brushwork is par none. I mean, this is so brilliantly done. It's not fussy, but there's a lot of detail. The rendering's not overly like crisp and clear. It's just kind of looks like he's throwing it down. This is what I would love to be able to do at some point in my career.
Oh, good luck.
Yeah.
It's so hard to loosen up like that if you're a tight guy.
Yeah, I think it's just confidence, right? I mean, this guy just knows what he's doing, and even the bandolier, the bullet belts. I mean, that stuff. If you look, the blacks, like the shadow, those are just brush strokes, man. Like those, all those bullets are done with a brush, but they're just thrown out there. It's absolutely amazing. But this was one of my favorite pieces, and like I said, like all of his war comics it was my favorite stuff. Always my favorite stuff. Like I said, I have some other stuff I'll share later. But yeah, let me go back.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, he's. It's weird. Like there's talent like Joe that you. It's hard to believe that level of talent did comic books. You know what I mean? Like there's a handful of guys that you just go, this guy could do fine art. This guy could have done anything, but he's doing.
Oh yeah. Well, they published a book. They put out a book of just his life drawings. His, when he would go to life drawing class, and they're just gorgeous because it's not his comic book style. It's literally, you can tell, drawing from a model with the rendering, obviously, that he does, but it's just fantastic.
Yeah. The cool thing about his life drawing stuff is you can still tell it's Joe Kubert drawing. Like he still has a style, even though he's drawing from a model.
Yeah, he's also one of the few guys that as he got older, he just kept doing great work. It never really felt like he sloughed off, or started hacking. He just always had, like you said, that tour stuff for Epic was like what? That was in the 80s.
No, it was 1990.
90s.
Oh, 1990 even. So, I mean, and how old was he then? He was probably like in his 70s, wasn't he?
He was born in 26.
Oh, my gosh.
So
that
60
Tor stuff is really it's a lot
64
mid 60s.
It's a lot cleaner than the stuff that he did early on.
But he came back and did another 6-issue Tor limited series for DC. Was it in the 2000s? I mean, I'm not going to. So I was actually going to bring it up. I'm going to pick something else because I was going to do Tor Odyssey.
I was going to do Tor too. Graham, you son of a.
But by the way, I got this trade paperback at Ollie's for $2.99.
Oh wow!
Yeah, wait a minute, Graham. I was going to show that page. Show that page again, Andy. Blow Graham up.
Okay, hold on.
Bomb him.
Blow me up.
No, the very first page with the eyes. The very first page of the story. Now, when I bought this book and looked at that storytelling, I was like, because I always thought Kubert was like this kind of, he's an old-fashioned guy like, all these other dudes. But when I saw this, I was like, this dude is next level. And that's when I really started looking at his Tor work in this book and really got into Kubert for the first time. I mean, I'd known of his work, but this is when I really started to appreciate the cool stuff. Look at that.
Yeah.
How he's worked up Tor into the title, up into the picture there, and then those panels dropping down like that. I mean, that's like contemporary storytelling techniques that this guy was using and aware of. Oh, it wasn't like he just picked them up from McFarlane. You know what I mean? And it's like,
exactly. 1,
So
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Just
He's
tremendous.
got like seven panels on this page here, but nothing looks cramped.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exceptional.
Yep.
Large figures in it. The camera moves in and out.
Yep.
Well, see, that's why growing up, I was always more of a Kubert guy than I was a Kirby guy because I like Jack's art, but I was never into the 6 panels and 4 panel grids. But Joe never did that stuff.
Right.
He was always playing with the page layouts and the big impactful panels and the pacing that way and stuff. So I always really just enjoyed that more.
Well, I think that like the grid works for like more bombastic stuff, like what Jack did. But I think what Joe does is for emotion. It's more the feel of it. So to capture the mood of the scene or whatever, he'll play with the layout of the page, and that's something that Jack doesn't really do. Kirby is just bold. It's bold stuff. It's brilliant, but it's just really bold. It's very angular and it's bold. But Joe was more nuanced, and I think he played with layout for the story.
And I think it's more dramatic too. This Kirby was all about power. And I'll tell you, if you can do 6-panel grid and make that page interesting, that separates the men from the boys.
Yeah,
all your design elements are contained. You're not doing anything like breaking things out of the panels. You know, I mean, you're
Guilty.
all in there.
Well, that was one of the things that Jack did so well. Is Jack, even with this is what I love about Jack's work with the grids, though, is 6-panel grid. You can look at the composition in each panel and so easily see how he's leading your eye from panel to panel throughout the page. In that grid, which is a feat. And then you have, like you said, you have Joe, who is leading your eye with the way he has the panels arranged on the page, and of course the inner compositions as well. So they were both geniuses at the different types of storytelling they did.
Different
Exactly.
types,
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't want to see Kubert. I didn't really like Kubert doing superhero stuff when he draws Superman and Batman.
I'm glad you said that because I was going to say that too.
I really didn't like his Superman or Batman stuff. And Hawkman was fine. It sort of was in his wheelhouse for a superhero, but you know, he didn't have that kind of bombastic energy and power that a guy like Kirby has, who could do that. You know.
Well,
I remember when was it Stan Lee did the DC stuff and he reimagined the universe? Was it Kubert that did Batman with him? Was it Stan Lee and Joe Kubert?
Yeah, they did Batman.
Yeah, and I was
did
really
a Batman black and white story, didn't he?
He might have, but he did that.
Yes, he did.
These number one issues, and so he had like an actual bat head and stuff. It was really bizarre.
Yeah,
and it wasn't superhero stuff. So I feel the same way, Graham. And I'm glad you said it because I felt like, I didn't really want to say anything bad about the guy, but like, Hawkman is as far as it'll go because the wings are organic, the cowl, the helmet is organic, and the best stuff was the early Brave and Bold, where he was fighting monsters, and I liked him in outer space, so he could actually use those weapons, that mace and those more like primitive weapons, so he could whack these things and he could really be bombastic with it. I think bringing him into a more contained superhero universe was just a mistake because I always thought of like Hawkman as like Conan, like this guy's a barbarian, he doesn't have a pretty body, like he's just got a really like thick body and he's just all brutality. I mean, he's a smart guy, but he could be very, very brutal, and I always liked that. I thought that was the best take on Hawkman.
Well, you
let me grab this. Son of Liberty Radio, thank you for the $2. Says Mystery in Space 113. Dale says pull it up, so I will do that, and when it comes around, I will we'll look at it.
Pull it up.
But Alo's up next, so I will share your screen in a second.
I was just going to say on what Art and Graham pointed out, there's a lot of artists that are really, really good artists. Like Frazetta, you can't imagine Frazetta doing superhero stuff. It just wouldn't work, and Mark Schultz is a brilliant artist, but you look at he's done a little bit of Superman stuff, and unless it's retro 1930s Art Deco type Superman stuff, it doesn't because they're illustrators, you know what I mean? They're more illustrative, and Kubert was that same way. You put him in a Barbarian or a Tarzan story or something organic, John Carter of Mars, whatever, and it works really well. You put him in a costume superhero and it didn't really translate for some reason.
Who's really
a lot of
good
guys
at both?
like that.
Who's really good at both of those things? Like the fantasy or sword and sorcery stuff and the superhero stuff?
Buscema.
Is you, Aaron.
Oh,
you
I'll take
can
that.
rock at it, man. Because there's some of that traditional like sword and sorcery stuff that you do really well, and your superhero stuff is
thank
fantastic.
you, Art. But I'll tell you the secret is I change my approach. And if you go in there just with a singular approach to doing something like I think Kubert did or some of these other guys did, then it sometimes doesn't cross genres. But if you alter what you're doing, and I think Graham would attest to this because he operates in multiple genres as well, you sort of adapt your style in your presentation to go with the genre. And that comes from me being in commercial art before I got into comics. And we had to draw just a ton of different things and tons of different styles to kind of figure out, whatever matched whatever the job you're getting asked to do. And so I've always done it that way. I was kind of like, when I'm in fantasy mode, it's a different, you call upon your Frazetta, right? If you're doing superhero stuff, you're thinking about maybe Byrne or Buscema or something like that. So I think that's the key to doing it, is being a little bit flexible in your approach.
Yeah, well, some guys
Thank
are
you for saying that. I
stylists too.
appreciate that.
You know, like
Right.
Kubert's a stylist.
Yes.
Kirby's a stylist. So when Kirby draws a superhero, it looks like Kirby. When Kirby draws a devil dinosaur, it looks like Kirby. And same thing with Kubert. You know,
Right.
whereas I'm not a stylist. You know, I have various styles that I work in. You know, but my style is my storytelling. You can spot a page by my storytelling. So
Right.
I just adjust the surface detail based upon the story needs.
Right.
Right.
I agree.
Right.
There it is.
All right, Aaron, I'm going to share your screen, and I have this issue. I don't know if you know this.
Oh shit! I didn't know he did this.
Yeah, but here's the thing: the inside is inked over Joe by Murphy Anderson.
Okay.
Did you know that, Aaron?
I've got I may have known it when I haven't looked. I have this. It's not slabbed, but I haven't looked at it in a long time since when I bought it, which was probably 10 years ago. But
So it's Joe inked by Murphy.
Yeah,
Murphy
2 issues. They did 2 issues together.
Murphy slick him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
I wonder how that looked.
I got this. Book when it
I'll
came
find
out.
some while Aaron talks about it.
Fine. This was like a cover I remember seeing probably in the price guide when I was a kid.
Yeah, that's great.
And I thought it was just so freaking cool. I
That's
don't know why
cool.
it took me so long to actually get a copy. Like I said, I just got it like 10 years ago the first time.
Yeah,
but
I have to say I got this when it came out when I was a kid.
Did you?
I'm pretty sure because I still have that in my collection and it's well loved. What year did this come out?
Looks like
Oh,
1968, maybe
It was
66.
68 or 69.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
about right. Yeah.
Now, what
Did-
comic is this? Because they didn't have 40 issues of the
No,
Atom.
it was a series
The
called The
Atom.
Atom and Hawkman. It was the
Well,
series.
it was the Atom, and then it became the Atom and Hawkman, kind of like Green Lantern became Green Lantern, Green Arrow.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So that's what the numbering is.
Right. So the
Yeah.
numbering is from the Atom,
Okay.
and they
But
just
even
kept
the
it-
Atom and Hawkman didn't run for very long, right?
No.
I mean, Hawkman didn't
Like-
stay in the.
Yeah, it was like 9 issues or
Yeah,
something.
they were trying to keep the trademark by putting them together. Like that's what Deep
Right.
Marvel did too with those double feature things. And
Yeah.
But what's
Yeah, well,
cool
you've
is
got-
that
they got
friendship.
characters
The
that can't-
friendship that. Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
The
go ahead,
friendship
Art,
that they
finish.
created in this title, it still continued as DC went on. So even when Jeff Johns was writing these characters, they were still friends, Atom and Hawkman.
Well, the interesting thing about this, correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, you would probably know, or Graham, didn't they? I don't know how many stories they actually did together. Weren't these like split issues that they had?
Yes.
They had an Atom story and they had a Hawkman story.
oh,
it was like-
okay,
It was kind of like Tales of Suspense.
right.
We always pictured them. The cover always seemed to indicate that they were like, partners or something. And so that, like you said, Art, they've sort of carried on that tradition, even though that's really not how the stories were presented in here. They were presented like Tales of Suspense. You'd have a Hawkman story and an Atom story. Although they may have done a combined one in there. I don't know, because I was not
I
a
don't
big
either.
DC guy. But
Because what was like in Blackest Night, there was that whole Hawkman, Atom stuff in there.
Yeah.
Just good stuff. I think they work well as a team. I think they also look cool together.
Well, it's it's Power Man and Iron Fist. I mean, it's all these things where they have two characters that can't hang on to their own titles on their own, so they put them in the same book together and hope that maybe combined they'll be able to sell.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But look at that great Gil Kane costume on the Atom. I love that
I know.
costume.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
so
yeah.
great.
Yeah, it's just
Well-
simple and so effective. But
So effective.
Here's some of the insides.
look at that! Look at that last panel. How slick that Murphy Anderson inking is over Joe.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you can tell it's Joe.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the figure in the first panel. Every figure you're like, oh, that's Joe.
And that
And then
three-quarter-
Murph sinks.
three-quarter behind the ear.
It's like
too.
when Sinnott
Yeah.
inked Neil Adams on Thor.
Oh,
those
yeah.
issues of
Yeah.
Thor he did. And we couldn't even hardly tell it was Neil other than the poses and stuff, but the finishes were just totally different.
Do you
Yeah,
think
and,
Murphy-
and
I mean,
they don't work sometimes. Like
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
doesn't make Kubert better, and
No.
and Sinnott did not make Adams look better.
No, but it's slick, good-looking work, but it certainly loses Kubert's personality.
Do
Yeah,
you think
it
it's
loses
bigger
his
than the
energy.
foreground? Guys, you think those figures in the foreground have like thicker lines around them to make them pop? That's what I always did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's yeah.
It's the same. If you go back, if you scroll up back where you were, you'll see that one panel particularly. Keep going. Past that. Past it. Keep going. Right there. See that center panel?
Mm-hmm.
Like that guy should have definitely had a thicker line, around him.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing: when Joe inked himself, Joe would establish depth, not with line weights like you're talking about, but with the amount of rendering. So Joe really didn't do heavier line weights on stuff in the foreground to pop it. He would just render it more to establish the depth that way. So as things went farther away, they lacked rendering, kind of like in real life. As things, get farther away,
lose detail.
Details wash out.
Right.
Yeah.
And
You know what I used to do?
black.
I used to do for like background details is I'd also break up the line. I would make it less solid, so it would have breaks in it. So that would also push it back even further because it didn't have a solid line on it. There's all kinds of tricks you can do.
I saw Mike Plug did a sludge annual back at Malibu days, and Mark Farmer inked it, and I really liked how it looked because it kind of took like Plug's cartooniness, but then sort of solidified it, and it was really slick looking. And Plug didn't like it that much. I was talking to him about it, and when he still remembered me, and he was.
Before you pissed him off.
He liked that. If you look at his Man-Thing stuff that John Verporten, I believe it's pronounced, inked him, is much looser, softer inking, and he preferred that. But I really sort of liked that Farmer, over the top of him, just because I thought the Plug, the Plugisms from his inking weren't there, but his drawing was still there, right? It was just a different way. It was just slicker. And so his goofy characters looked more animated, style as opposed to more illustrative. But I thought it was really kind of an interesting take, but he wasn't a big fan of it.
Did you ever see the 2 issues of, it was either 1 or 2 issues of Green Lantern. It was in the 80s that Mark Farmer inked over Gil Kane.
Oh, no, I bet those were nice. Because when Gil started inking himself in the 80s, that stuff sucked because he was using like that just a one pen line, it just looked really crappy. So I'll bet Farmer over him looked really, really good.
Yeah, he was one of my bucket list guys.
It was nice, but it was a little weird because it just it didn't mesh super well, but it was nice.
Not like Klaus on Kane.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Or even
the thing about inking Gil Kane was like.
Oh, hold on.
I think if things were too, he's very structural. So I think the good inkers were able to kind of make it look more organic.
Here's a perfect example of Kubert using the same thickness line like in the foreground, but then look at the wall in the background, how the detail just fades out as it goes down.
Yeah,
and yet those things in the foreground just pop.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kubert, Nick Carty, and Ross Andrew are 2 of the greatest artists in comics to be able to convey a sense of depth with their line work like that. They make you feel like shit, that building is way out there or whatever, or that character's way up in the sky. I love that about those guys.
It's Evil One. Thank you for the $2. Says the Kubert boys got good because of Dad. Lucky them. Definitely lucky them. Just having the few jobs that they had inked by Joe. I mean, oh my God.
Well,
and the fact is, it's funny too because they would do full pencils and Joe's inking it. And you're like, why are you doing full pencils?
It's going to look like him anyway.
Yeah,
it's going to look like Joe anyhow.
The Midnight Suns, that Ghost Rider Midnight Suns. I think it was Adam did it.
That was Andy.
It was Andy. Okay, you would know.
Well, they both did, but Joe inked more of Andy's and a little bit of Adam's. But yeah.
Yeah, I got to ink Andy and Adam, but it was Adam on the Ultimate X-Men. And so there was this rain, and there was like certain scenes he'd go, I need you to ink this like Joe would. And so I'd be like, but it's not the style of the book. He goes, I don't care. So then, inking a rainstorm, those guys did it with a brush.
Right.
And so he was penciling it.
Yeah.
And so that's not my training. My training isn't to make those strokes with a brush, So, you find yourself like practicing on the side a little bit, to get that movement. And then you take the brush onto the actual boards. And I do remember it was kind of one of those educational things. Like you got the chance to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. And I always thought that was great. Those guys loved the hell out of their dad, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
What's unusual
Right,
to
Mr.
have a dad that's that talented and then have 2 kids that are just as talented. You know what I mean? It's like you just don't.
Well, and
see that very
considering neither one of them started out wanting to draw comics. I mean, Adam went to medical, wanted to be a medical illustrator.
Yeah, he was in Rochester. I think he was at RIT.
Yeah.
Didn't those guys start out on that Doc Savage miniseries that they did for DC? And one of them penciled it and the other one inked it, but they kind of made it look like Joe's style a little bit.
Yeah,
I think they did that on the Warlord too. I think they
Andy drew it, and I think Adam inked and colored it.
Inked it, yeah.
Not the Warlord, but the Doc Savage. And Andy was always in the beginning when Andy first started out. His stuff was really like his dad. Even like figure construction, rendering, everything. Adam was like Adam's first stuff was like that I remember was The Clash. You remember that stuff? It was a mini series for DC. It was a prestige format book called The Clash.
No.
And his rendering was kind of like his dad's, but it was different enough. Whereas I've got a fill-in issue of Conan that Andy did that if you didn't really know, the ins and outs of Joe, Andy, and Adam's style, you just look at it and be like, oh, Joe did an issue of Conan?
I'll tell you, man, Andy's the guy who surprised me the most because we were classmates first year at Kubert's, and me and Andy and Adam were both classmates. And Adam had talent, you could tell, because he had a lot more drawing experience. He'd been lettering books for Joe since the 70s. And Andy's stuff was really rough. I thought to myself, this guy's not going to make it. He's never going to make it in this business.
Boy,
but he overcame that, and because he worked really hard, and he studied and just put the work in, and he became fantastic.
His pencils were really slick, man. It was all there when I inked him on X-Men. Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic.
It was
I always thought the draftsmanship, and Adam was a little bit more like stylistic and story. Like he took chances with story layout. And it was a little bit more stylistic than Andy's, but they're both equally as good.
Yeah.
Do you think they got to go to the Kubert school for free?
No, absolutely not.
Joe
was a principled man.
Knowing Joe, now he made him work for it.
Joe was a principled man. He made him pay.
Joe told me a story once where he was Andy came up to him with a drawing, and this is before the Kubert school. Andy came up to him with the drawing and was having problems with it, and he just goes up to his dad. He's like, "Oh, I'm having problems with this drawing." So Joe takes it and just fixes it like that. And he said that after he did that, Andy didn't draw anything for a few years, just because he couldn't. He was just like, oh my God, I can never do something like that. Look how fast he did it and stuff. And Joe was like, I didn't stop and think by me fixing something so quick or whatever, what mental thing that might do,
right. I remember talking to, I got to go, it was so, man, we're so lucky. I got to hang out with Johnny Romita Sr. and his wife. We went to dinner, and he was talking about JR, and he's like, he never came up and asked me anything, and I never volunteered it. He said he always wanted to be his own guy, like he always wanted to do it on his own. And so it would. I mean, it's funny where you remember things in the past, and then things happen later, and you recall them, and you go like, it almost seems like it was said to you because you were going to need it 20 years from now or whatever.
Right.
And so my daughter is an artist. She's got a fine art degree. She paints. She's really, really talented. But, I'm in the studio. The studio, just like you guys, is so much a part of the house. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like the heart of the house. And so she would never come up and really ask me anything. And so then I always remember that. It's like, nah, be cool. You know what I mean? If she really wants something or needs something, she'll ask you. But other than that, don't volunteer it. And that's kind of always the way it was. And there was a few times where she would volunteer or she'd say she's having a problem, but I never talked to her directly. I'd find like an anatomy book or something, an example that I could kind of like, put a Post-it in it, set it on her bed and let her discover it on her own or whatever. But I never talked to her directly like that. There was a few times, but not really. And it was all because of, what Johnny Ramita said to me at that dinner. And it was fantastic. I'm so lucky.
On that subject, I want to let you guys know there are, I came across these 2 videos on YouTube, and they're from 2001. And one's an interview with John Buscema, and the other one is John Ramita. And it's just them on camera, and a guy is asking questions off camera, and they go deep diving into their careers. They're like John Buscema was retired at that time. He retired in like 96. But, the guys are sharp as tacks, they got, they're not infirmed or anything like that, and it's really great interviews. I'll find the links and I'll stick them in our.
Please.
Yeah.
I've seen a Buscema interview. It's great.
Yeah. It's like an hour long. It's pretty long,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. I got to find that Ramita one.
Yeah.
Well, before Graham has to leave, here's that mystery in space. I just went right to the Joe job. But the funny thing is, the beginning of this book has a Michael Golden job in it. So
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I know. I remember showing it to you.
Fraga. Yeah.
What book is this?
This is Mystery in Space. Let me bounce right back to the.
What
It's
number?
this. 113.
Oh, 50 cents. Okay. Oh, wow. Ooh,
And it does. It starts. So it's. I went out and bought it when I found out about it because it has a Michael Golden job in it.
And it's tasty too.
Yeah. And then it has. We'll just go through that kind of quick.
Well, that's the Golden, yeah. Oh my gosh, I didn't
Inked
know
by Bob
about that.
Wycheck.
It looks really good.
Oh. And this is 113 or 115?
113.
113. All right.
Oh my God, Aaron might buy a DC book.
Aaron's right now.
We got
Get it for the
Kubert
spin rack,
and
Aaron.
Golden?
Get it for the spin
Yeah.
rack.
Golden and Kubert? Jeez.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
It's really nice Golden stuff too. All the trademarks are there for how old this job is. Because I think this is before Mr. Miracle stuff.
Is it?
I think. I don't know.
Well, Golden didn't do any Mr. Miracle, did he?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I thought that was the
All right. Let me
Marshall
get the
Rogers.
Joe.
Yeah, let's see the Joe.
Now, Golden came in late in the book, and was it Ralph Reese that inked the stuff?
Ralph Reese over Golden? Interesting.
Oh, that would be interesting. There we go.
Okay, that's a great panel
Look
right
at that
there.
freaking page. I mean, you were just scrolling through a whole bunch of stuff, and this is the page that jumps at you.
Yep.
Yeah. Just look. I love the way he does the lighting and the reflected light. It is so dimensional. I mean, it really, the form is so well done on the work that you just really do feel like you just reach out and touch it.
Yeah. Inking is so loose, and yet it just works.
Yeah.
Look at that last panel, that close up of that guy.
Yeah. So great.
Do that so we can see the whole thing.
He's in some pain.
He is.
What was the Kubert rule about like there's 3 pages or 4 pages that you put all your time and energy in, and then the rest of the book you can kind of just like service the story, but as long as you have like 3
your money pages, right?
Yeah, what was
Money
it, 3 to
pages
6?
really pay off.
Because I remember one of the Kubert, it was probably Adam, told me something like that, and but I don't remember how many pages it was.
I never heard that.
Yeah, because I think
Yeah, I got to be honest. The only thing I remember, well, not the only thing, but in regards to something like that, I remember Joe would say, and this kind of lends to why he didn't do just grids. He would say on every page, you kind of want to have that big panel, that
anchor.
big cool panel. And he'd say it could be a close-up, full figure, whatever, but you want to have something on every page like that. So when if somebody just goes to the rack, picks up the book and just does a flip through, no matter what page they land on, something's going to be like, oh,
yeah,
that's what I
same
remember.
thing, but it was pages, I believe. So it's like, yeah, if there's something memorable, right? That was the thing, was as long as there's something that stands out that's memorable, then it will carry the book.
Right.
I heard it was pages, but you heard panels, so that's the legend.
Yeah, because
in
Fellas, I
Stat
have
Zero.
to bounce.
Oh, yeah. All right, dude.
Sorry, guys.
Have a good one.
Okay, thanks, chat. See you
Good,
guys.
Good luck.
good to see you,
bros.
Graham.
See you, man. Stat Zero says Kelly Jones said to do 1 to 2 great panels a page and the rest can be okay.
But
There's
that's
a
still
lot-
a
I mean,
lot
I
of
don't know.
work. That's
people
still a lot of work.
remember the money shots, that's what they remember. And it's like that first page to that issue of X-Men where Captain America and Wolverine guest star that Jim Lee did, and has a great splash page of Captain America jumping towards you. You just if you hit all your splash pages and double page spreads and big panels and make them really, really cool, if the rest of the stuff isn't that great,
There's
That's not what
also the
people remember.
idea of the money moment, though, too.
Yeah.
Like, for example, in New Mutants, when Strife takes off his helmet, and you see that it's Cable's doppelganger. When I was a kid, I was like, "What?" You know what I mean? And it was a full page, whatever, but it wasn't the greatest drawing, or like the most. But that moment was a money moment. So if you could tie a money moment and a money shot drawing together, that's where you have pure magic.
Yep, I agree. That's totally true. But what is
All
Billy
right, Tooch,
thinking?
we're up to you. You can turn your mic on and your mic's off.
Yeah, I got a couple. My wife has been texting me, so
Okay.
we share my screen there. Something a little different, off the beaten path. I decided to stay away from the obvious for the most part, but I thought this was kind of fun because it. Should I be honest and pick my favorite jobs, or should I pick something that's really cool that he?
Are you gonna pick Kubert's work in the fashion industry? Is that what you're gonna do?
No. I didn't know he did work in the fashion industry.
He didn't. At least I don't know. Maybe he did.
Liar.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know.
Well, I remember the time I was walking down 7th Avenue in New York City.
I had chewing gum stuck to my shoe.
And who would I walk into? And I'm like, how do I? And I'm like, and I'm lost. I was trying to get to the DC office, and I remember, and I saw this kindly old man. And I'm like, sir, how do I get to Broadway? And he just looked at me and he said, practice. And I
thought you were gonna say walk this way or follow me.
No.
It's
And he
at.
said practice. And he walked, and I'm like, I know that guy. So I followed him and walked right in the DC office, and I had an appointment. I'm like, excuse me, who was that? He goes, well, that was Joe Kubert.
That's a good
What
story.
a great made-up story that is.
Lie.
You know what you should do? You should fundraise it, do a crowdfund of like Billy's lies.
Billy's
It could
lies.
be like Billy's exaggerations.
Yeah,
It'd just be like
one of
stories.
these is true.
One of these.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. I love that.
All right, I'm going to go with I'll go with the obvious stuff if that's okay, because it is my favorite stuff.
Yeah,
So,
go ahead.
Oh, good.
Right,
Yeah.
share the favorite stuff.
Yeah,
All right, good.
do it.
Fine. All right, hang on.
Pressure's on, man. Do it.
I got so many windows open.
And while Billy's
let's-
looking for it, let me tell you a tale about one time I was.
There was some gum on your shoe, and you.
Yeah, exactly. And I was.
No, Liz. I mean, Sergeant Rock, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I was a war comics kid for the comics I did buy. Horror, I bought, a lot of the vault, the horror stuff, the reprints, the black and white Eries, the Eries and the Creepies. I love that. And I had to pay homage to this page, and I did it. And for some reason, I couldn't find the color version of it, but I just love the idea with the bazooka, this tiger tank, or in this case, I guess a panther tank, bearing down on you. And hang on, let's see if sorry, I don't know what the hell that is. Hang on, gotta go back to the. Oh,
I can unshare if you want.
Billy,
yeah,
what's
unshare
that?
it. I was anyway, just that Sergeant Rock, the Lost Battalion, and let me share. Let me find that page.
Yeah, that's the stuff I remember the most as a kid.
Yeah.
Like all the war comics.
Oh,
were
yeah.
absolutely fantastic. It's so visceral. Like he was able to capture those moments, like when those guys were getting shot or shooting people or whatever.
Oh yeah.
What was there one? There was one where it was Blitzkrieg. Like there was all kinds of titles he
Blitzkrieg.
did. But then there was like one where it wasn't like these Nazis were gonna like kill this older couple that were in like their house, and it's like, we have orders, and the guy's like, yeah, but we shouldn't kill these people. They're just like, it's a man and woman. They're hugging each other. It's just like, wow. I mean, this is just one image, and I still remember
that only lasted 5 issues. It was written by Robert Kanigher and illustrated by Joe Kubert, 2 Jewish guys. And the Brests, like, yeah, even though the books did pretty good, they kind of pulled away from that.
Is that the Blitzkrieg?
Like, yeah,
books?
I don't know if we want to do this.
Yeah. The logo was cool, right? It was all.
Wait,
like,
what was the book that only lasted 5 issues?
Blitzkrieg.
Blitzkrieg.
And I
Really? It only lasted 5? I didn't know that.
issues. Yeah, 5 issues, about 3 German soldiers, and I actually incorporated those guys into a pitch I had called Sergeant Rock War No More. And again, everyone loved it. I don't know, it got to the upper echelon, and they said no, and they turned it down.
I still remember the logo.
Actually got the go-ahead
like some kind of German metal band. Like the logo, right? It was like Blitzkrieg, and it looked like it was so metal.
Yeah, definitely.
I dug that stuff.
But I'm going to share my screen. But I'm going to go to again. I had to throw that in there. But I mean, this stuff is, and I went off camera because I was looking for it. But if you want to share that,
Yep.
the enemy.
Oh, man.
This book, and I can't find my book. It's a gigantic book, and for some reason I can't find it because whenever I need something, I can't find it. But you just talk about. I love his chiaroscuro, if you will, right? The blacks. I love the shadows dropping. I mean, just so dynamic. You look at this page right here. This is obviously an airplane that was traced, right? A photo of a Fokker D7, right? But look at it. Look how alive it is. Look how organic it is. And just these, like I said, the blacks that the way he places them. Look at this. You see all the controls. You know exactly what's going on here. As the German, the Brit is shooting at him. You know what I mean? But look, just how stark and fills in those blacks, as you guys are saying. Distance showing that's in the background with those blacks like that. And then another.
Well, and the thing that Joe does that I just really love. The long shots. Look at that long shot of the planes going down in that tall vertical.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Look at this one on the right here. The one over here.
Yeah.
Look at this. You see this dogfight and this explosion. It's like looking at the old silent films. There's another great part that's just part of the book that really struck me. I mean, of course, look at this. I mean, look at them in shadow here.
Yeah.
It's just a master. I'm so terrified to do that, and I think.
But look at the blimp, and just how nice the rendering is on it. Yeah. That it's almost at the reduced size that I'm seeing it on the screen. It's almost like a black and white photo because his gray tones are just so right on the money.
Yeah,
with the cross hatching and stuff.
Look at that eye, that super big eye close up there. Yeah. You wouldn't expect to see that from a guy as around as he just was not a traditional storyteller, which was so cool. Right.
But no, you see, like you talk about Mark Schultz. You guys had mentioned him earlier. You look at Mark Schultz with Xenozoic Tales, right? And he's a big Frazetta guy. But look at this. Yep. This is all Kubert. This is Mark loves images like this. If you guys have read Xenozoic Tales, 14 issues I think that came out. Just every one of them. Better than the rest. But there's little images like something in the book that struck me, and I'm so happy I was able to find this. Look at this for an ad for Palisades or something. But I don't know, I think. But look at just, oh my goodness. But what a fun shot.
Hey, go back to that guy's face.
This guy.
Yeah, look at that.
You can just tell he's an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt, right?
want
You're
that
like, I
guy
want to
to
shoot
die,
that
right?
guy out of the
You
sky.
just want this guy to die. You know, you see like the rhino comes in. You don't want the rhino to die. You want this fucker to get shot in the head or burn all the way down to the ground. But again, just one after the look at this. You gotta be kidding me.
Yep.
That's
Star
so
Spangled
good.
What
War.
the hell? And then there's just one beautiful thing and they played with the color on it that I mean, just God, one after the other. It just does. Look at this panel right here.
Oh God, those are
Even what? Are you
Man.
kidding me? Look at this. With the plane just fly, you know, just genius. Just I think we can all say the same thing. You know, that Andy and Adam were lucky to have Joe Kubert as a dad. I think we all would have loved to have him as a dad.
oh yeah.
You know, but look at these roughs. He's inspired me to do my roughs. Look at this. Look how great this is.
Wasn't I heard that shaking his hand was like shaking a pack of brick hot dogs.
Dude,
Dude, he would just crush your hand, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Come on, man!"
yeah.
Drawn hand, brother.
I saw him had to be a year before he passed away, maybe a few months before that, because he passed away in summer. I think in August. Like it might have been August 12th, right before my birthday. It was terrible. And I remember seeing him earlier that year or whatever, and again shaking his hand. And he's just like, you know, like just a badass, you know.
Dude, he passed away on the same day as Mike Rowingo and Mark Grunwald.
Wow.
The same year,
Mark,
No, same day.
same day though.
Wow.
Same day, different years.
It was in
Joe,
August, right?
I think. Yeah, it was. I think it was August 12th, and
Yeah,
wasn't
it's
it 2012?
I think.
I
don't
think.
remember the year, but I think it was August 12th.
Yeah.
It was the day before my birthday, and I remember seeing Michael Golden, and we just looked at each other. We had a convention. He's like, because the word had gotten around,
Oh yeah.
show that he had passed.
Yep.
So, but just I don't know. I just love this NMEA stuff. Again, I had to throw homage, mention to the Sergeant Rock, the Sergeant Rock, because you can't go without talking about that. But
Oh yeah.
this stuff just
Yeah, that's great.
boom.
The dog fights with
Yeah,
the
to make the
rifling.
dynamic and the.
Okay, I'm going to show this. This is the best logo, the most metal logo of all time.
All right.
All right.
Rat.
It gave birth to Rat. Look at this.
Look at that.
Blitzkrieg!
Now this only lasted 5 issues, and Joe drew every issue.
Yes, that I'm aware.
Oh,
Of. Yep,
I got to
have
get
that.
those.
Oh yeah,
That
they're not
logo.
expensive either.
I
Oh,
like
yeah.
the lightning bolts on top of the eyes.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, this is so metal.
Yeah, so I pitched a story with them like that War No More. Even Dan made me do breakdowns of the issues, like each issue, and I spent like 3 weeks on that. Broke it down into 6 issues. It was and I like to say this, but I'm like, this is going to be the Destroy All Monsters of War comics. It had every character in there, and it was a great story. And I wanted to draw it in his style and all. And then for some reason, they just lost interest, I guess.
Yeah, I've got that link up if you want to see it, Andy.
Yeah, I'm going to. I was actually going to ask somebody to pull it up. So Randy, for $5.50, thank you. After that Broadway story, we got a new avatar for Billy. Okay, so yeah, share it if you want. Oh, I see it. Oh my God, we got to take a photo of Billy and make it black and white. Throw a little orange over top of it and replace it.
So I got it in my head like this, right? Wait.
A smoking hot Julie Christie was in that movie.
Oh. Well, thank you, Randy. And then real quick, Dan, before you go, because we did bring it up, Mr. Miracle by Michael Golden, inked by Joe Giella, who unfortunately just passed away a couple weeks ago.
Yes, you did. Batman guy, right?
All right.
Yep. So
This is what, 79 or 78? I can't read it.
78.
Wow, this is early Golden.
Yep.
Very early Golden.
But then after this, I'm pretty sure it was Ralph Reese, I thought, that inked some of the issues as well. So
I like that ad that says "Satisfy Your Meat Tooth with the Werewolf" by Jack Davis.
Right. Your meat too.
yeah, you do.
Like sweet tooth, but the
There
meat
it
tooth.
is.
I like that they used to sell, BB guns and stuff in
Slim
kids'
Jim, baby.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
The good old days.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, should I share your screen?
Not till I have my little intro, I guess.
Do it.
So I'm a lot like RT Bear in that I used to live in California and then I moved east. I'm just kidding. No, I'm a lot like RT Bear in that I knew about Kubert, but I wasn't really a DC guy growing up. The DC stuff that I was into usually was like the ultra mainstream. That it had to either involve Frank Miller or John Byrne for me to buy it if it was at DC. That's like how I was. But as I got older and sort of got to look at Kubert's stuff, it did kind of strike me as atmospheric, and I really enjoy his ink style. That's one of the things. But you know, what does it say? Are you going through your camera mic? I don't know. Do I sound bad?
You sound muffled.
You sound a little low, but I mean,
I don't have it on my. I don't have it on my. Yeah, it's on my. It says it's on my computer. I mean, I don't want to go through the headphones one, but I usually have my other mic, but I had a mic.
I can hear you. I mean,
okay.
I assume everybody.
Okay, let me get closer. But anyway, I like his storytelling, and mostly he has a way of drawing faces. Like Jorge Safino is one of those guys where it was like you could tell his face, like the way he draws a face from 1,000 yards. Same with Kubert. But anyway, if you want to share my screen, this is one of the images that I really dig. It's Men of War, the cover of number 3. I just liked it because it had like the Frazetta-isms, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think even Silvestri had done a cover like this for the X-Men where it's like, you know, a bunch of assailants coming into the guy in the center, and the composition kind of being built around that. But you get so much action and there's so much clear separation on these characters that I picked this one as one that I thought I'd want to.
And he's taking on all those guys. And he just has a knife. It's so badass. I'll stab you.
I love you.
No, that's a great one.
Yeah, so that's it. But I'll tell you, a lot of the time, and I get a real enjoyment for being on this show because obviously I get to be a co-host and a panelist and everything, but a lot of times I feel like I'm an audience member because, you know, I'm sitting here writing down on this envelope like, you know, go get Tarzan City of God, try to find the 2001 Buscema, you know, Weird War Tales number 100, you know, check that out. And it's like after this show, I go and look for that stuff. It like joneses me because it's stuff you know, unlike Art to Bear and Billy, I really love comics, right? Like in the history.
If it makes you feel better, Dan, it makes you feel better.
But I'm just saying, I really love I love everything comics in the history, and the one thing that's really fun, and it's one of the things I experienced by watching Graham's storytellers or even being on this show, is there's these pockets of our comic book universe that I have zero exposure to, and it's like getting a chest of treasure. You know, you're like, holy shit, this is amazing. So thanks, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You got it.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. All right. Well, before the second issue, and it was not Ralph Reese that inked Golden, it was Russ Heath.
Russ Heath. Sounds like Ralph Reese.
Yes. But when I show you the splash page to a second issue of Mr. Miracle, you're going to go, oh, yeah, that's Golden.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
So that first issue, Joe Giella is a great inker, but not suited best for Golden. But this issue, yeah. So there you go, Dan.
He really likes to do
that looks so different.
Yeah. You know, a lot of times I hear people say Michael Golden had no influences, but I'll tell you, man, the more I look at early Golden, I see a lot of Plug, I see a lot of Wrightson,
Yeah.
You know, just the attention to like folds and you know, his storytelling is uniquely his own, I think, and his choices of where he puts his camera. But a lot of his stuff I see in like the early 70s, late 60s guys.
You know, I'm really digging the colors on this too. For some
Who's that?
reason,
You know who colored this?
Petra Scottis?
Corey Adams, Neil's daughter.
No.
Isn't that his daughter?
I
didn't
think
know
so.
that. That's cool.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't know that either, actually, until I saw the credits. I think this is the only issue I have, but I might have to get more because, yeah, this is like night and day from that previous one.
I miss old school color, man. Something
Yep.
fierce. Like,
Yeah,
there's
the
just something
coloring's
to it.
outside the box. You don't usually see comics like this with this palette.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kevin
that's a
Nolan's
really
good
golden
stuff.
shot right there. That helicopter shot. I got a shot
Kevin
like that in
Nolan.
Oh,
Black
yeah.
Flag that when I was doing it, I was like, what would Michael do? And it was like, you know, a little helicopter over the... He did this in Marvel Fanfare. He did this in a bunch of other places.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin Nolan does a great job of old style coloring too, because he makes such
yeah.
great color choices, and everything is so subtle and not overpowering.
Right.
It complements the line work so much.
So I wish Graham was here because one of my favorite Joe jobs, because I want to be out of the box a little bit, actually is where he drew Superman.
Like Demon.
Superman and Demon. Woo! What a team up.
I love this job. I've got a
Whoa,
couple.
look at that.
I got a couple copies of this book because I just love it so much.
What issue is it? What's it called?
It's DC Comics Presents number 66.
Okay.
I'll write that down too.
Now, the story that I heard is Julie Schwartz, and maybe somebody in the chat will know more. The story I heard is Julie Schwartz needed this job done quick. So he called in a favor with Joe. And supposedly, Joe did the whole thing over a weekend.
No.
Oh no! Pencils and inks.
That's supposedly.
Oh my gosh! I can't believe that.
Now, dude, look at this. Look at this. This is a 2-page spread, but they separated it.
Man.
But I'll have to just show the book so you can see the actual spread. Let me,
I love he's got those
because
two
it's just genius when you see the spread, how he, the little people and stuff.
Dude, I just dig the guy adjusting his tie with that girl. That is good
Is that
stuff.
Clark Kent?
That's Clark Kent, baby.
And that woman doesn't look like a Kubert woman.
Looks like a Cardi woman.
Yeah. Dude, I love that pterodactyl. The P is silent.
Yeah.
Thank
So,
you. And the
he drew Superman. I'll share the screen again. He drew Superman fighting Hawkman. Oops. What the hell happened?
But that double page, I love comics because you can play with size. Like that room is ginormous.
Mhm.
There's no
There
room
is.
that big in the real world.
Right. Yeah, that's like a 40-foot drop from the ceiling, or a
I
50-foot
know.
drop from the ceiling.
So he did do Superman fighting Hawkman and Detective Comics 400. It was, or 500. It was one of those anniversary issues.
The damn druids. Look at that.
That's cool.
But this dude comes to life. I love the way Joe draws buildings and stuff.
There's
Man,
no
I like
freaking
the
way he did this in a
perspective.
weekend. I'm sorry. There's no
Dude,
way.
the vanishing point being at that
Yeah, no
dude's
way.
knees.
The reference alone for that museum took him 2-3 hours to draw.
Yeah.
Yo, man. DC Comics presents 66. I gotta get one of these.
This is awesome. I didn't know.
I'm gonna
Look at
get
that
2 of
right
them.
there. I love this.
Bernie Krigstein style.
And the big dramatic pose at the end.
All right, Andy. So Joe can do superhero comics. So what?
Well, I mean, I wish there were. I'll go through this a little quicker. I wish there were bigger shots of Superman, but I don't think Joe. Well, Joe wasn't a big superhero guy,
Right.
because there's nothing besides the splash page, which had that great shot of Superman flying at us. That's the biggest shot of Superman you get in the whole book, and then you get a nice shot of the demon.
That one shot looks like a Gil Kane. That second face, that like upshot on the nose.
No.
Little
Yeah.
Kane-ish.
Oh yeah, I see that. The
So
demon's
good,
great.
man.
Etrigan.
I could probably do just as good if I had like 10 years to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he did this in a week, but there's no way he did this in a weekend. And inked it himself.
All right, maybe
too.
it was a week.
Yeah. So who's
Yep.
the liar now? It's
Yeah,
not Billy.
Andy, you big
Andy.
liar.
But I will say, I remember visiting him after I graduated school, and he was doing. You remember when they brought Ragman back as a mini series in the '90s? Pat
remember
Broderick
that
drew the inside,
Yeah.
and Joe did the covers. And I remember a cover. I'll try and find it.
And that's
Joe
the only
did a
reason I
cover.
picked up that book. I mean, those covers were great.
Well, one of the covers had a bunch of kids on it or something. I'll have to find it. And I was like, all right, Joe, how much time you got in this so far? Because it was only penciled. And he's looking at it. And he looks at me and he looks at it. He goes, nah, hour and a half maybe. And I'm just like, oh. I'll find it when we get back. Look at this. I love how he does these big extreme close-ups and stuff. It's the thing I've always loved about Joe, and he would stress it in class, was the camera movement, because he was always like, look, comics, as we know, they're two-dimensional. We move the camera. So you go from that extreme close-up, if you can, to like a really, pull back long shot, because that gives you the feeling of movement, and then from that long shot to like maybe a medium shot. So you just keep moving it in and out and stuff, and then up and down to get the feeling of movement on this static image.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
Up and down,
So-
and in and out.
And then look at that city right there. I just love that.
This is
I don't
crazy
think
good. This is not a weekend's worth of work, though.
I know.
I'm sorry,
He was,
Andy.
dude, he was so fast.
I can believe that, but this is really good.
Yeah, it's like you pencil and ink.
There's a nice shot of soup.
Maybe I buy that, but that's a great page right there. But I just can't imagine somebody doing a 20-page comic in pencil and inking it in 3 days.
Yeah.
Looking like that.
Yeah, and looking like this.
Yeah.
Well, even just physically doing it, even if it looked like crap, that's just like too much,
It's too much.
And that's it. That's the last page. So there you go.
Yeah, but this story sort of fits into his wheelhouse too, I think. Kind of
With the
fantasy.
supernatural. Yeah.
Yeah, and supernatural stuff. It's not a
Oh, wait,
traditional
here's the last
hero
page.
story. I love this Moses
23
guy.
pages.
It's like a
23
John Byrne ending where there's just like the close up and then just like, ha ha, yeah.
Yeah, we got him. Let's have a cup of
Get
coffee.
it. Yeah. Or the other John Byrne ending would be like there was like a plot hole in the story. So then there would just be a talking head panel, the last panel, and he'd explain what happened.
Yeah,
Right.
Whatever happened to that girl you were dating? Oh yeah, she fell off a cliff and died. Oh, okay.
Here's what you missed. Oh, I got.
Well, Mr. Thibert.
Yes, I got a doozy. I just realized as we were talking, there was a book. And I'm pretty sure like Kubert did the whole thing. Let me click this, click that, click this, pull this lever, hit this button,
And hope it doesn't
Pull this
explode.
lever.
and boom, we're there.
Boom. Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
he did the cover.
he did. Did he just do the cover? Or did he?
No.
do the whole-
The insides.
He did the whole thing.
well,
right?
he laid it out, and Nestor did
Oh, did he?
finishes over his layouts.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I knew there was some kind of like team up, but I remember seeing this on the rack, right? And it's like a double page cover, right? Like if you open it, like Moses is on the other side with the other tablet. And I just remember, like, when I saw this, I was like, this is an important comic. This is the living Bible, man. I gotta get this book. It is an important book. And I just remember I must have showed all my friends this book. It's like, look at this, man. It's the Bible drawn by a comic book guy.
The artwork in this is beautiful.
Yes.
I mean,
it is so
unbelievably good.
Yeah, it's so good. But yeah, this is one of those books that I do remember purchasing, and I do remember reading it and really, really liking it. So not to say that I don't have a bunch of Kubert work, because I do. Like, I have all those war comics and stuff like that. But this is the one that I do remember, like, making a mark on me. And just, I remember walking to my friends' houses like, look at this. This is an important comic. You know, when you're a kid, you're just like, you know.
Right.
You know, they reprinted that a few years ago, right?
With new color, or?
No, they just reprinted it, but as a hardcover, but the same tabloid size.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because this was like the Treasury size or whatever.
Yeah, Treasury, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got that.
Yeah.
I've got the original,
This had the big mark, and this will probably be our last time going around, right? So I want to show you just a highlight of this guy's career. Like, just look at this. That's a
man. I love his inking style just so much.
And I like that we can, you know, blow this stuff up and scrutinize like what we couldn't in the day. Look at how simplistic this gun is. Like, it's not overly like scrutinized. I mean, it's really just thrown down.
Look at the lines on the collar of that guy, the guy with the gun. Look at the lines on his
bloop,
collar.
bloop, bloop.
Just moving on.
Yeah, this is great stuff.
But
and
even
then,
the guy who's in the lower right, if you see his you know, his sling is wrapped around his arm, like when you fall uncomfortably.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
Even though the sling wouldn't be there, the sling would be that the attachment of the sling is not where he has it. It would be the next, probably about 8 inches lower than that. Get
out of here, Billy.
You don't care, yeah.
But there's one thing that I always like.
I can show it. You know, I got a toy. I'll show you a toy.
Okay. But it's like,
see, it's art. You said the word scrutinize, and Billy's like, wait a second, I can.
And so he always gets these action lines in, but his action lines are very like cartoony.
Mm-hmm.
If you've noticed, they almost don't seem like they should fit. Like, see the one finger sliding across, you know, and everything. And he's got these, but they're real subtle, and they freaking work. And that's hard to do, because I try to incorporate stuff like that in my drawings, and sometimes it just seems so out of place. But he's able to do it time and time again. Just absolutely fantastic. And then, like I said, this is my highlight reel. I think his Hawkman stuff is absolutely cool, and his monsters and stuff for the time were just fantastic. Look at this thing coming out of the tunnel.
But look how simple that bridge is, and like the toll booth stuff. Like, if I drew that, I'd be like, oh, this toll booth, that's not enough detail on a toll booth.
Right.
Exactly.
And look at all the cars and everything. Yeah, there's boats in the ocean there, and then you can see the city in the background there. Yeah, this is well constructed and thought out. And there's the action lines again on the monster. Look at like these little like comedic, and then his wings are flapping. There's like these little action lines that just crack me up.
Who's that? Is that hawk girl over there that's like trying to hit him in the face?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's got a mace too, and she's smacking that thing in the face. Awesome stuff. And then I did this for Graham. The little ghosts. They're like these ghosts, and they're coming, Smitty. Why don't you fire? And there's these ghosts freaking them out.
That's a great cover, man. I've never seen that one.
I got to get that just because of Smitty.
Just because of Smitty. Will
Smitty's hang up mean death for Sergeant Rock?
It could. And then these like this rock or this wall in the foreground just getting pummeled with bullets. Just fantastic. You know.
Now, did you ever see the enemy ace job that Joe inked over Neil?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the Detective Comics. I've got it.
It's
And you know what Joe said about it? He said it was like Neil crawled into his head when it came from the panel layouts and storytelling that Neil did. He was so impressed with, what Neil put down on the
There's a
stuff.
page right there.
All right, let's see.
Well,
Hold on.
hold on. And then there's just this page, and this is just.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know where
All
we're
right,
at.
hold on. Back to art.
Screen.
Oh, my God. Look at that face.
Yeah, the face, and then just the reference of these. I mean, they didn't have like the internet stuff, so I don't know where he was getting all this reference from.
Yeah.
Swipe files, man. Remember magazines?
Yeah, swipe
and-
files.
Yeah, I hope that swastika doesn't get you demonetized, but sorry, YouTube.
I don't think it will.
But this is
I don't think it will.
great stuff. Great stuff.
Look
All
how
right.
that face holds up so small. When you zoomed it out, that face just holds up so nice.
This is great stuff. Great stuff.
Mm.
I'm inspired.
Yep. But Aaron, with this, is this the one that Neil inked over, or Joe inked over Neil?
This is the one where
Neil Adams. Yep, it says Neil Adams.
no, it's Giordano. No.
No, this is the tribute that they did.
Yeah,
There's
it's
the
a
one that
jail-
Joe actually inked over Neil of Enemy Ace. Batman wasn't in that one.
Yeah, this is the Detective Comics issue where Neil sort of did it like Joe would have
Right.
drawn it, and
okay.
it's just freaking awesome. There's another. I think I got another page here too, but that face right there up here is so Joe.
Yeah, it's definitely not Neil.
Yeah, so I just thought, and it's so cool. There's the Neil Adams Batman down there, but the Joe Kubert Enemy Ace. It's like he drew Batman regular, but drew the Enemy Ace like Kubert drew him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let me see. Do I have another?
Dick Giordano did a good job inking that too.
Yeah.
Dick's
Well,
the man.
I just have the cover, which you've all seen a million times. But the one thing I wanted to bring up was these, because I remember when this came out, picking up this issue and thinking,
Oh yeah.
who is this dude? And with I always like guys that look kind of like spooky, and he looked spooky. Look at the guy falling here like that in the foreground.
He fell right out of his pants.
He did. Look at that.
Are those pants?
Come on, Art. You remember back in the day with the clotheslines between apartment buildings?
I didn't live in a city, but perhaps.
But that's
if
what
I
the guy
did,
felt.
Water towers.
If I lived in
We hit a clothesline.
Yeah. I did
Origin of
grow
the
up where we had
American
clotheslines and we burned our own trash. So
Yeah. Good old days, man.
burning trash.
Now the thing with Ragmanx, I bought because there was only like 5 or 6 of these. He laid out every issue, but I can't remember who did the finishes.
Boy, that's a good question. I don't remember either. I just
I don't know if it was Nestor Redondo or not.
It could have
I want to
been.
say it was a Filipino guy that did do the finishes on the stuff though on the interiors.
I've got
I
these.
remember
I need them.
picking this stuff up and being excited about it, but I don't know why. Like I look back at it and I'm like, eh.
Look at this cover.
But as
Look
a
at this
kid,
cover.
I was like, Ragman, cool.
Yeah, that's pretty dynamic. I love that. And that weird
Oh, I've got photocopies of his layouts for that issue.
Oh, cool.
Scourge of the Ghetto Lords.
The ghetto. In the ghetto.
Well, this is like a
Yeah.
superhero book, but again, it's like a spooky, fantastic superhero. It's not something that would be, it's more Batman-esque, but more creepy, more like the Spectre, really.
Hey,
looking.
what was that movie with the guy that was in the Star Wars movies, the second trilogy? What was that called? The Shadow Man or something? What was that? That it was. He was kind of like Ragman. He was. Oh my gosh! What
Are you
was
thinking about Guido?
maybe somebody in the chat remembers. It was probably in the late '80s or whatever. But it always reminds
This is
me
the
of-
one, by the way, that I saw in pencil. That Joe said it took him about an hour and a half to pencil before he started slapping ink.
You hate that guy.
That's incredible.
What a dork.
What a
Yeah, but you got to
dork.
remember, like, it's hard to see, but my background is pretty much what his pencils look like when he would ink his own stuff.
What was that thing?
So-
Shadow Man. It was something man. Come on, somebody in the chat, help me out.
You talking about
Come
from
on,
Star
man.
Wars?
Come on, man.
What are you talking about?
That movie, it was something like Shadow Man or
Dark
something.
Dark Man?
Darkman. That was it. Yeah.
How did Star
Darkman.
Wars get in that?
Well, because it's
So
the
how'd
same
you get
man.
Star Wars to
Liam-
Darkman?
Liam Neeson.
Liam
Liam Neeson.
Yeah. That's the way my brain
Liam
works.
Neeson was in. Oh, that's right.
Liam Neeson was Darkman, wasn't
Yeah.
he? Yeah.
And then he just happened.
Was that
to
like
find
one of his
that-
first gigs over here?
I think it was his first
Yeah.
movie. Yeah.
No, he was in Excalibur. Remember?
Was he?
Oh, was he?
Excalibur.
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah, but he wasn't the
I don't know.
star. He wasn't.
No,
He wasn't.
he was Sir Gawain.
He
Yeah,
was
so
the third.
I
I
think
think
it's-
slaughtered in the opening scene.
Yeah, Darkman was more of like his first like starring role,
That was
right?
his foray.
That was Sam Raimi.
Sam.
I mean, that's
Raimi?
pretty much what his pencils look like. So,
Yeah.
Still, you still got to draw the figure, and everything.
He's still gonna draw him.
It's very Marilyn Monroe. He took that pose of Hawkgirl from Marilyn Monroe.
Oh yeah, that's right. Where she's laid out on the
Yep.
satin.
Yeah, he just moved her head. See?
Just moved
Yeah.
her head. There you
got the old swipe file out and had that
Yeah.
cover done in an hour and a half.
There you
go. I'm look at the reason you could save time is look at those buildings. There's no commitment there.
no. Now, Art, how
Yeah.
fun would this be to ink, though? Not the buildings, just the figures.
I like
buildings are
well,
mad.
even the buildings. I would keep the buildings very linear like they are there, but I like stuff like this where it's kind of
Oh, so do I.
and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can kind of interpret
Yeah.
some stuff and do your own thing. As long as you know that whoever you're inking isn't going to get pissed off at you for taking some liberties.
that's more of a current. Yeah, pencil.
Yeah.
That's true. Marcus Killigrew says it was the Redondo studio over Kubert on the layouts of Ragman.
Ragman. Yeah, Korak.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Rakadine.
Cool. These were kind of cool. And look at they were oversized issues, so they'd have like the other Edgar Rice Burroughs stories back there.
I thought that one guy's
Yeah.
head was coming out of his chest, though. That's
Oh,
weird.
yeah, we had him in the arm lock there, kind of.
Yeah, but it's over. It looks like it's over his shoulder.
Hey,
Oh,
man,
it totally is.
It's
There were
weird.
times
Like,
that's one of the things I like about Joe and John Buscema as well, is there are times where, and it's more in Tarzan for Joe and Conan for John, where they would have the legs like so far apart that if you tried to draw through to the crotch, there's no way that it would work.
Yeah, they wouldn't meet. Yeah.
You know,
well, hey, when you're doing
but they were just so good at it.
You gotta,
I think that's when he was drawing like Stormy Daniels, right? Hello.
That's right. Oh,
Yeah.
Now look out.
Stormy
Wait a
Daniels.
minute.
That's
So,
right.
Andy, can you tell by looking at this head up here who drew the Pellucidar story?
That was.
God, did Kaluta do those?
Nope.
It's not
Can you
Plug,
blow
is
it
it?
up? Can you blow
That's
him up?
Alan Lee Weeks, man.
Lee Weeks.
Yeah, Alan.
That's
Lee
Alan Weiss?
Weeks.
Weiss?
Alan Weiss, yeah. Alan. However,
Get out of here.
It
He
is.
drew the interior story? Did he
Pretty
ink
sure-
it himself?
the Pellucidar stuff. Yeah,
Oh, damn. I didn't know that.
I got to pull that out. I'm pretty sure that's accurate.
Oh, I love his work. That's a guy that just did not draw enough stuff.
Right. His Captain America issue is my favorite. 164 with the first appearance of Nightshade, and where Falcon turns into a werewolf.
I do have.
Yeah,
to
but
say,
then who didn't John Romita Sr. go in and re-ink some stuff?
He just some faces, just Cap's faces every once in a while. You're kind of like, and it didn't fit at all. You're like, dude, what are you doing?
No.
man?
I have
All right,
to
I
say,
just
though,
pulled
that
it up.
DC had no faith in this book. This is the first issue, and it's already like Korak, and then they dropped the Tarzan name in there, and then these other two characters. It's like, oh no, I'm not sure.
Well, it's just another one of those ones they picked up from Gold Key because it says first issue, which it is for DC, but it's actually number 46. So they kept the numbering going.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So
Well,
there's
it's
other
also-
stories in this. It's a 52-page.
Right, but they're all Burroughs stories, so it might have been part of, they got the license and they're like, we got to use all these characters too.
Okay, so it's more like the title was Edgar Rice Burroughs, and then they would have Burroughs type of like.
Yeah, it was all Korak though as the lead always, but they always
Oh,
had
okay.
like the backups. At least while they were the 25-cent issues.
I
Yeah, the
see
backup.
now.
So
I
Mike
never-
Kaluta,
Was it
Mike
Kaluta?
Kaluta drew the Carson of Venus stuff.
Okay, yeah, that's the blonde dude.
And yeah, you're right. It was Alan.
Yeah. doing the Pelusior stuff. Yep. No, these are good books. If you, they're not that expensive either. You can find them pretty cheap. These Koraks.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of those. I have every issue of Tarzan, but not all those. That's cool.
So there you go, man.
So that
all right, Mr. Tooch, we're back around.
They always call boy
something
in
that
the Tarzan movies. That was Korak.
What?
So the one that they always call boy or whatever in the Tarzan movies, that was Korak.
No, that was Boy.
That
Korak was his son from another mother.
Another mother.
Yeah, he was roaming around the jungle, had a few wives, if you know what I'm talking about.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Rima, the jungle girl.
Oh yeah.
Interesting because he did all the covers, but Redondo did the interiors.
Same thing. I love Frank.
Yeah, but I think
I loved his.
I think Joe laid him out though again.
Did he? So you think the same thing?
I think so.
Yeah. Huh.
Look how hot she is. It, like you guys were saying that that's he's not known for drawing beautiful women. He's very strong women and all, but look at that. And then again, look at this. You say like, where's this arm come from?
Yeah, it's pretty.
Like the arm is right there. That doesn't really.
Well, see, and it's one of those things too where I wonder if hindsight, if he would have just left that arm out, because I mean, you notice it, but at the same time you don't, because it's just so odd.
Yeah, or he probably tried to play with it like, it's like that. Well,
I'm sure he didn't even put that much
like
thought
that.
into it, Billy. He did this.
Yeah, he just, I got to get this done by lunchtime.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, he's watching Born Free on TV.
Born Free? Is that because of the cats?
Yeah.
Born free as the wind blows.
As free as the ground.
That's how you get the ladies to buy your book, though, with cute animals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See if I have another one here. Yeah, there you go. Rima.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
Look
yeah.
at that.
But just look at this, man. Come on,
Oh, my
man.
gosh.
Look at that lighting.
Yeah, the drama. Look at that. That guy's in trouble, man.
Yeah, he's in trouble.
Are they going to eat him, do you think?
I think they're about to.
Yeah.
But, this guy is totally like, if it wasn't for her, he totally got the fuck around and find out, Chart. Because what are you doing there, man? What's he doing? Is he trying to rob these guys gold or something,
But see, here's another thing. This is funny. Like, this is one thing I love, like I said, about these guys, Joe, John Buscema and stuff, is look where her fist is. No, go back to that other cover, Billy.
Yep.
The fist holding the vine, and then see where her elbow would be and how long that forearm is.
Yeah.
And if I drew that myself, right, sketched it out, I'd sweat bullets and be like, no, I got to fix that. I can't let that go.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm working on that right now.
Didn't get caught behind the post there.
The thing is, the next panel after this would be her with that spear in her back.
Oh.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry, man. She's getting in between
guy, though. That's nice.
a man and his dinner.
Who will perish in the flaming forest?
That's right.
Marcus Killigrew said that you're right on this one, Andy, that Joe did do the layouts and Redondo finished over.
I love Frank Redondo's work. Love it. I love his war stuff.
Nestor.
There's
Nestor and Frank.
Well, Frank Redondo was the guy who did the war book.
Yeah, Nestor did the more
There was more than one Redondo. Stuff. I guess I would have if I read comics when I was a kid, right?
I don't know if I knew that. I don't know if I ever knew of Frank.
Yeah, Frank Redondo was the war artist.
Evil One for $2. Thank you very much. And he's correct. There's much higher standards for artists these days. And I agree with that. But at the same time, I just look at that, the Rima cover, both of them that we were talking about, the arms and stuff. And do you really think, though, if that came out today, the normal person buying it would be like, oh my God, look at that. I don't think so at all.
Not in the mainstream.
No, I mean, because you do that a lot of times. You cheat stuff. I always use this as an example. The scene in Risky Business with Tom Cruise, where they're shooting from inside the car, and somebody's walking out in front of the car, but the rear view mirror was in the way of the shot, so they just removed the rear view mirror so they could pan across from inside the car to watch these people walk in front of the car. And it's like, if you watch it enough times, you go, hey, what happened to the rear view mirror? You know what I mean? But at the moment, you kind of make it work for what you need it to do for the storytelling.
Right.
And that chick's arm would have been, Rima's arm would have been right behind that post and it just would have disappeared, right?
Yep.
You can't have that because you're like, what happened to her arm? So you extend it out. And unless you're doing some like careful examination, like Billy Tucci trying to make everybody look bad, you wouldn't even notice it. So
Nice.
Poor Billy.
Speaking of that, trying to make someone look bad.
yeah, uh-oh.
If you look here at this gun here, this is
Hail.
nobody cares about this, right? So I shouldn't even bother. Okay,
No, I don't care. Go
on
ahead.
that cover,
Finish it.
he had the sling like this, which is a common misconception. A lot of people do that. This is a toy, right? This is the exact rifle he was drawing, the M1 Garand. This right here, which looks like a sling, thing, is actually just to put multiple rifles together so you could stack them. The sling actually goes here. But I know why Joe did that, because he had to show the sling around the guy's arm.
So he cheated it. He cheated it.
Cheat. It's a
storytelling.
cheat. It's exactly what it was, a cheat. Because he knows, and you look at any of his other ones, he doesn't have
But then why isn't the toy that you have proper?
No, that's not.
Why
Right.
would you buy
But why isn't it?
toy?
Yeah, but why wouldn't they have made that proper?
Because that's made in China. They don't.
Oh, those bastards.
They don't know. They don't know what guns look like.
Yeah, it's a sling. They got the gun right. They got the sling wrong. They're like, oh, let's put it
Right.
here.
Oh,
It doesn't
God.
go here. It goes here.
Okay.
Well, I'm going with until
what I-
Dan gets
All
back.
right, that's my care. That's the shit. that
This
bothers
show
me.
is educational. Thank you, Bill.
Yeah.
It is. We're always
This is
bringing-
I love Joe's Hawkman. I've got the I've got the black and white showcase. I've got the original trade paperback DC did, just collecting his Brave and the Bold stuff. This is actually from one of those anniversary issues. I think this is from Detective. And this is one where he fights Superman. I love this splash page. And this actually, within the past 5 years, was up on Heritage Auctions. That's where I grabbed this scan from.
No kidding.
Look at those buildings.
Yeah.
Man.
Man, I thought my Wraith of God stuff was loose. Gee,
Yeah.
Christmas.
I've never inked anything this loose, and
What
had it
chance
published
does
ever.
Hawkman have against Superman, though?
Well, it's a robot.
Mace.
And how long would that fight last?
Yeah.
2 seconds. Not even.
But yeah, I love this page so much. I actually printed this out on Bristol and had it framed for a while because it looks like their original. Heritage does such a great job of their scans of the artwork they put up. So, I mean, you could see the razor blade cuts here and these motion lines coming off his legs and stuff.
Hey Andy, is this the issue you said that Adams drew that Kubert inked? Here, let me share this real quick.
Share it and I'll tell you. All right, Evil One. I know it's not a splash. Evil One's pointing out it's not a splash because it has panels. I agree.
It's a splash panel as well.
Yeah, that's it. It says right there. Yeah.
Adams did the art on the inside of this. I have this issue. I bought it many years ago because I'm a Neil Adams completist.
Yeah.
But I haven't looked at it forever. So yeah, there you go. Story illustrated by Neil Adams and Joe Kubert. So this is drawn by Neil, inked by Kubert. The cover though looks.
Yeah.
Is the cover all Kubert or is that? Yeah, the cover's all Kubert, but the inside is Adams inked by Kubert.
Yeah. But there's a few shots in it where you definitely go, oh, that's what. In fact, I'll pull it up. What issue is that?
144. Star Spangled.
So is the
War-
title Enemy Ace or Star Spangled War
Star
Stories?
Spangled War Stories 144.
All right, I'll pull it up because there's a couple shots in it where you're like, oh, that's a Neil layout, But
Okay, so let me tell a story while Andy is.
Yeah,
looking
go
for
ahead.
it. You had brought up as you were lying to us, Billy, about walking down 7th Avenue and looking for DC Comics. I stumbled across this clip from an interview with Mel Gibson, and he was talking about when he had a meeting with Christopher Walken, and he was saying why he never worked with Christopher Walken. He said he went and he talked to him, and they were sitting there talking, and somehow the conversation got around to like torture devices, right? So they're talking about like medieval torture device, whatever. And he said the more they talked about this stuff, it went back and forth, the more animated that Christopher Walken got about it, And it's Gibson saying made me really, really uncomfortable, So So I started to kind of look away from him. I looked out the window and he said, and there's that building in New York with the 666 on it, the red 6, which is the DC building. And he's like, so I'm like, okay, so I'm looking out my window. I'm seeing 666. I'm over here and Christopher Walken's talking about torturing people and stuff. And he's like, he goes, I had to get out of there. I thought it was hilarious.
Oh, that's great. So this is it. Neil, inked by Big Joe.
Neil doing Joe big time too, though.
Yeah, you wouldn't even.
Well,
know.
like I said, Joe said in an interview that when he got the pencils and stuff, he was like, it's like Neil crawled into my head in regards to the layouts and everything.
And the cool thing about Neil Adams' stuff is it's so. Look at that face. That looks like Kubert for sure, up there. But that's great. Yeah, oh my gosh, that looks so much like Kubert. But you could ink him. Any sort of guy with a sort of illustrative style could ink Neil Adams successfully. Like writes and inked a few Neil Adams things and it looks great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But somebody like Sinnott would totally change it.
You know what I like? The color. Go back those couple pages. Like, I wish like some of the newer colorists knew this stuff. Like, keep going, keep going. Oh no, that was it. Go back. There's on that panel there is the yellow, the 3 shots, and then the next page has it's all knocked out in reds, and that look at how cool that is. That last panel there. That is so freaking awesome. But I don't think anybody really like colorists don't have like the cojones or whatever to do anything.
Well, they don't
like
think about it. A lot of colorists just think in terms of it's a blue sky and this thing is brown and this thing is red.
Yep.
I mean, you have to call that out and you go, hey, I want this monochromatic red or whatever, and they'll do it, but they usually don't think to do it. I mean, every once in a while someone will.
It doesn't make a lot of sense because the panel before that was reds and everything, and then the next panel is all blue sky. But it's still cool.
But this old style coloring is like the coloring doesn't get in the way of the art. It just sort of complements it.
Right.
And
too
many colors getting in the way of the art.
I had this theory, and I used to talk to Matt Yackey about this. When Dark Knight 2, the DKR back in the early 2000s came out.
Yeah.
And Frank was drawing some really kind of like abstract stuff, and the color was really bizarre.
Oh, look at that.
My theory was that Frank was really kind of dealing with the reading experience, that sometimes when you read a comic, you don't pore over the details. You're just kind of picking up information from what's there. And this color doesn't ask you to stare at it, but it evokes, like, that there's a crazy fire happening, and like on that previous page, and the emotion of those eyes.
Yep.
And you're not really sitting on the panel, but as you read it, you're absorbing this sort of graphic quality. But now, with this hyper coloring and all the details, you can almost get over absorbed in the art and not have a service to the story itself.
Yeah, and Andy, go back to the page previously. Just beautiful, like coloring with storytelling. It's the page before this one, right there, like the ambulance or whatever that is. It's like those characters are all knocked back, and then the second to the last panel, those characters are not that one, the one after that page, but that's gorgeous too. This is really top notch. Yeah, that one. Like the second to the last panel, it's all the yellows, and then the foreground stuff is all in blues. It really helps prioritize where your eye looks and what you see. I really think that stuff is brilliant.
Yeah, agreed.
So simple, yet it's all about making good choices, not about rendering the crap out of everything.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't know who colored this. I'll have to go back. Oh, it didn't give credit. That's right. This doesn't have credit for coloring. They didn't do that then.
Isn't that weird? DC wasn't big on giving people credit back then. It was like Marvel. I feel like you could always crack it open, and it's like, who wrote it, who inked it, who colored it, who lettered it, who edited it. And I'll open up a DC comic from the 60s and be like, who the fuck did this? Like,
Yeah,
you know,
I'm loving this color, and I don't know.
So this is
I
the
mean, it is
real quick
really
the last panel here. This close up of Enemy Ace with the girl behind her, or medium close up. To me, that's the one face that really strikes of Neil Adams, even with Joe's
Yeah.
inks.
Yep.
The girl's
But the rest,
face,
you're just like,
the girl's face in the last two panels. There's
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
Neil-isms going there with the eyes.
yeah.
You kind
This
of
is
wonder
so
how
good.
much.
This is a really good issue.
You got to wonder if Adams just sort of, just kind of laid it out and didn't really put a lot of detail in there because he knew Joe was going to ink it.
Could be.
Yeah, I can't imagine him doing full pencils because just the lighting on the faces and stuff. Neil does more, rim lighting and stuff usually, and there's none of that. So you wonder if he did just lay it out and basically leave it up to Joe to
Look at that.
figure out all the rendering and lighting and stuff.
Look at that storytelling in the last 4 panels over when that plane crashes. Scroll back up a little bit. And you got right there.
Oh yeah,
So this is Neil's storytelling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
he did the layouts,
Wow,
man.
this doesn't even look like. I mean, Neil's really making an effort to tell a story versus like wow you with broken panels and like characters flying all over the place. This is really grounded Neil stuff. This is great.
Kevin
Yep.
Wolf
Well,
was
Neil
using
said-
the colorists color guides. Neil would give the colorists color guides, he said. Kevin
There you
Wolf.
and
go.
Neil said in an interview too when he got this job and he knew Joe was going to be inking it that he really wanted to try and crawl into Joe's head to make it as Joe as possible, Let's see. We've got Neon Knight Rider for $2. Thank you. I found She Way the Warrior 1 through 12 in a dollar bin at a used bookstore. Well, there you go.
I don't know if Billy's happy about that or not.
Billy's checked out.
He's asleep.
I like the shrug.
He's so angry about the gun, man.
I'm like, shit, I wish I found, those issues.
Yeah, you can sell them for more.
Yeah,
money.
like shit. Now, give it a read. Give it a read. We're very proud of it.
And that's
We're
it. That's the story. Oh, wait, that's not the story. Wait, I thought it was. Oh, no, that is. Okay.
Yeah.
The new Matchbox.
Wait. Nope. Damn it.
This
Story's
is
not over
brilliantly
yet.
colored. This is my favorite color job. This is so awesome.
It is.
And you're right. See, I love stuff like that where that panel with him firing the gun is just yellow and red and stuff. You don't see stuff like that. And Aaron's right, because they just try and think too literal with
Yeah.
stuff.
Everything
And
colored. It's bright daylight out and everything's like perfect, lighting.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yep.
that is really cool. Because it also becomes kind of visceral because the yellows and oranges and reds, those are hot colors, so it looks more aggressive
Yep.
by doing it that way.
Yeah, it jumps out. That's the,
And then the dream, like he's with all the skulls and everything. That panel's awesome.
This looks
It's more like blues and grays and purples.
So basically what you're saying is you should take a hot chick and put her in a hot panel with yellows and reds. It'll make it even hotter.
what?
Oh yeah, yeah.
There you go.
What's the info on this one?
This is
do you
Star
mean?
Spangled
Oh.
War Stories 144.
Star
There you
Spangled
go.
what?
War Stories
Okay, 144.
144.
Yeah, I know I have.
Yeah, I'll zoom back up to the cover in a second so you can see it. I mean, it says right on the cover by Neil and Joe. But yeah, I'll shoot up
Face
there.
on the plane. What's that all about?
Yeah, it's like Thomas the Tank Engine.
Thomas the Plane.
Yeah, exactly.
There it is.
He's gonna start talking soon. He's like a HR Puff and stuff character.
Rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat.
That's right.
Enemy Ace was one of the best design characters too. He looks so cool.
It was really bizarre that they would make a German
Yeah.
fighter pilot the hero.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got a small head in that first panel though.
Yeah, that's
Okay, there it is.
That's Neil and Joe for you. There it is.
He's got the Johnny from Karate Kid outfit on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he does.
Sweep the leg, Enemy Ace.
Sweep it.
Von Hammer says, "Sweep the leg, enemy."
Come out, Von Hammer, you coward. Face me man to man.
No,
That
you're
was
going to
awful.
sweep my leg again.
Hey, whose turn is it next?
Yours.
It's you, big guy.
Oh, it's me. Sorry, I was out. I had to take care of some.
It's all good.
You got back just in time.
Is she
Just in
okay?
time
You
to
got
end
back
the
just in
show,
time.
Fraga.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me grab this. I like this cover of the Losers because I'm a big sucker for those person walking, but around the corner is the danger. You've seen the Thing in the Hulk. You've seen, Punisher do it. You've seen it with Daredevil. But I just dug the design of this. We gotta get Gunner to safety before those pirates find us.
Uh-oh.
Look at that.
The pirates are right there,
But
man.
the pirates
He's got a
are
peg
right
leg,
there.
too, man. He's a real pirate.
You know he's a real pirate when.
You know what? Maybe if you didn't yell out what you're going to do, those pirates would know where you were.
I found out what that pirate's favorite movie is.
Well, now you know why they're the losers, Art, because they were
Yeah,
doing
exactly.
dumb things
Hey,
all the
what's
time.
that peg leg's favorite movie?
The Goonies.
No, it's Footloose.
Oh.
No.
Hey,
Oh, no,
what's,
it was,
okay,
what was
here's
the-
an obvious one. See if you guys get it though.
Okay.
What's a pirate's favorite letter?
Our number
R.
17.
Most people think it's R, but it's really the C.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
You hear about the
The
sailor
setup.
with the steering wheel on his penis?
What?
They said, yeah, he walked into a bar and they're like, hey, yo, man, you got a fucking steering wheel on your penis. And he goes, all right, no, it drives me nuts.
I was gonna say it drives. I was gonna say it drives the chicks crazy.
Oh, it drives me.
Oh my God.
Drives me nuts.
So we're gonna wrap it up. We've been going for 2 hours. Before we do, Aaron got to see this video yesterday. You guys will see it today. Do you guys remember a show called Too Close for Comfort with Ted Knight?
Yeah, the guy with the puppet on his hand, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, funny thing, back in the CrossGen days, right towards the end, Aaron and I were going to do a book called Mr. Mighty. He was going to write it, and I was going to draw it. And there's this trailer for Mr. Mighty. Check this out. To the desk. All right, Mr. Mighty. Let's see what adventures await. What will come out of the mighty pencil? On to the mighty day for Mr. Mighty's adventures. What villains will you take down with your mightiness? Alright, Mr. Mighty. We'll pick this up later. Duty calls. The trash will not take itself out.
So is this your next crowdfund?
There you go.
An instant classic.
Yeah.
I'm going to crowdfund the sitcom pilot because we have a script written. So this was with somebody else, not Aaron. We actually, real quick, I met a guy that was, when I was doing acting and stuff, that was a cameraman for a living. And we wrote a sitcom pilot like 17 years ago. So before smartphones with the great cameras and stuff. And we even cast it. So we cast an actress to play my wife. We cast another actor for the intern role. And the whole gist was about a comic book artist that draws Mr. Mighty. And when he draws it, he's got to dress up. But the twist is he hires an intern. and the intern has to wear that costume that but the intern I hire is a guy, and I have that costume made as well, and the guy wears it, and that was one of the funny things in it and stuff. So
where's that?
So there you go.
Yeah, where's that?
There is no video of that.
That's the private viewing vault.
That guy's name is what is it? Dylan Mulvaney.
Exactly. No, I would not want that
Dylan's
person
work.
here.
Yeah, you gave his start, Andy.
That's right. So anyhow, I had fun doing that. Everybody, thank you for joining us tonight on the Brofessionals. As you know, we rotate channels. Next week, it goes from me to Mr. Art. Look at that. He's right there next to me. And we all have campaigns. All the descriptions are, or all the links, I should say, are in the descriptions below. If everybody wants to do a little pitch real quick, feel free. Art, you're up.
Black and White. It's Man vs. Machine. It is the epic wrap-up conclusion to the origin saga of Whitney Sung and Reed Blackett, Black and White. So we are going long. We are going strong. I work every day to make this book as good as possible. I think it's the best work I've ever done, and I've done 40 years worth of work. So I want to thank everybody too for backing it, supporting it, and everybody that supports CG, everybody that supports all of us, and supports the Brofessionals. So thanks to everybody. If you guys didn't do what you do, we would not be here. So so thank you.
That's right.
If you guys didn't get this, well, now's your second chance, baby. We got the Second Chance campaign, which is second print with an all-new cover and a new UPC code on the back, too.
Do it.
So I have that going on. And, of course, Blood Hunters, the follow-up to the Wraith of God graphic novel, is also live. A lot of good stuff happening over there. If you haven't backed, please go check out both of those or either of those or something like that. Appreciate your patronage, and thank you to all you guys for your continued support.
Yes.
Same thing with me, guys. Zombie Sama Dorm of the Dead is at the printer. The Indiegogo just ended on March 28th, and the Kickstarter ends tomorrow night. So we're going to start fulfilling early May. Thank you all.
Awesome.
Nice.
And we're going to launch our next omnibus, the Senryaku omnibus. Which
I'm really looking forward to seeing those zombies. Samba.
Sama.
Oh, Zombie Saga.
There's gonna be some serious dancing and brain eating.
Yep.
Look at that blood.
Oops,
Nice.
sorry.
The blood.
Fraga boom.
Black Flag, I got an update, but I'll talk to you guys after the show. But guess what happened after my update?
What?
Shadow ban.
No.
No way. Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. I am not searchable on Google or Indiegogo now.
Nice.
So that is what happened, and I wanted to test it out, and guess that's what happens. Anyway, there's I wanted to share some layouts with people so they can see what the book's looking like. Even though we talked about all of Joe's clear layouts and all that, and the 6-panel grid, you can see I do not adhere to that whatsoever. But here's some wonderful stuff. So if you want to go and click on the link in the description, you can see these yourself. Here's some beautiful AAT.
Oh my gosh!
Hey now,
other girl
from Matt Yackey. Matt Yackey's turning in some beautiful colors, and things are rolling away. But yeah, watch this. Watch if you type in Fraga Boom's Black Flag. Watch what happens. The only thing that shows up is that early Dynamic Forces campaign that was long closed a long time ago. Look at that.
That's interesting, because I have not put out an update. My Second Chance campaign has not been shadow banned, but I haven't sent any updates or anything.
Watch this. I'll go to google.com and let's do a search for Fraga Boom's Black Flag. Showing results. Backer kit all these videos, images,
Yeah.
Amazon, Indiecron, not a single Indiegogo, anything. And that literally happened right after I did my update. So
Damn.
Wow.
Good times. Good times.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I've got Kor-Drath, of course. I finished page 52 today, so 53 I start tomorrow. 5 different covers to choose from, a couple different T-shirts, a beanie, 76 pages, barbarian badassery. Go check it out. I think you will enjoy it. And, of course, thank you all that have already backed it and supported it. Like Art said, none of us can do this without you guys and your support. So thank you so much. And we'll be back next week on Mr. Thibert's channel. So until then, we will catch you guys later. And thank you again for joining us tonight. Good night, all.
Good night. Thank you.
All right, bye.